Welcome back, Eskimosers. Knowing how to handle an emergency situation can mean the difference between life and death. So, let's revisit some of these life-saving steps that might just come handy someday. You never know when you might find yourself in a sticky situation, lost in the wilderness, facing extreme weather, or even just dealing with a minor accident at home. It's in those moments that knowing what to do can make all the difference. Over the years, I've learned a thing or two about survival. And trust me, the wilderness throws everything it can at you. But the most important thing is to stay calm, use your head, and never give up. We've all seen those idyllic pictures of crystal clear rivers and serene lakes inviting us for a refreshing dip. But don't let that fool you, Eskimosers. Freshwater can be just as dangerous as the open ocean, if not more so. You see, rivers and lakes often hide strong currents beneath their tranquil surface. One minute you're wading in knee-deep, the next you're being swept downstream. Trust me, I've been there, and it's not a situation you want to find yourself in. The key here is to be prepared. Before you even go near the water, take the time to observe the current. Are there any rocks or debris moving downstream? Is the water flowing faster in certain areas? These are all telltale signs of a strong current. Now, let's say you do find yourself caught in a current. The most important thing is to stay calm. Panic will only make the situation worse. Remember, you're fighting against nature here and you need to conserve your energy. Instead of trying to fight the current head-on, which is a rookie mistake, aim to swim diagonally towards the shore. Think of it like a game of chess. You need to outmaneuver your opponent, not overpower them. Angle your body at about 45 degrees to the current and swim with all your might. As you swim, focus on your breathing. Take deep, controlled breaths to help you stay afloat. Remember, buoyancy is your best friend in a situation like this. And keep your eyes on the prize, that safe haven of land. Now, as you get closer to the shore, you might notice the current starting to weaken. This is your cue to adjust your course and make a beeline for dry land. Don't let your guard down just yet, though. There might be submerged obstacles or slippery rocks waiting to trip you up. Once you're safely on land, take a moment to catch your breath and thank your lucky stars. You've just stared down Mother Nature and emerged victorious. Remember, Eskimosers, preparation and a cool head are your best weapons in any survival situation. Fire. We've all huddled around a campfire, mesmerized by the dancing flames. But fire is a force to be reckoned with, and when it's not contained, it can turn from friend to foe in the blink of an eye. House fires, wildfires, even a small kitchen fire can escalate into a life-threatening situation faster than you can say smoke alarm. Now, I know what you're thinking. Bear, I've heard all the fire safety tips before, but trust me, Eskimosers, these are not your average tips. These are the hard-won lessons learned from years of experience with the untamed power of fire. First things first, prevention is key. Make sure you have working smoke detectors on every floor of your home and test them regularly. And for goodness sake, never leave cooking unattended, especially if you're using an open flame. But let's say the unthinkable happens, and you find yourself facing a fire. Your instincts might tell you to panic, but that's the last thing you want to do. Remember, clear thinking is your lifeline in an emergency. Before you even think about tackling the fire yourself, assess the situation. Is the fire small and contained, or is it spreading rapidly? If you have any doubts about your safety, don't hesitate to evacuate immediately. Get yourself and your loved ones to safety and call the fire department. Now, if you decide to fight the fire, make sure you have the right fire extinguisher for the job. Not all fires are created equal, and using the wrong extinguisher can actually make things worse. If you're caught in a house fire, every second counts. Remember, smoke inhalation is one of the biggest dangers in a fire, so stay low to the ground where the air is clearer. And if you encounter a closed door, feel it with the back of your hand before opening it. If it's hot, there's probably a fire on the other side, so find another way out. And for my outdoor adventurers, always be mindful of fire safety when you're in the wilderness. One stray ember can spark a wildfire that devastates entire ecosystems. So clear the area around your campfire, keep water and a shovel handy, and never ever leave a fire unattended. Chapter 3. Choking, a silent threat. We often take the simple act of breathing for granted, but imagine for a moment that your airway suddenly becomes blocked. You try to breathe, but you can't. Panic sets in as you realize you're choking. It's a terrifying experience, and it can happen to anyone, anywhere. at any time. Now, I've faced my fair share of dangerous creatures in the wild, but let me tell you, choking is a silent predator that can strike when you least expect it. But fear not, Eskimosers, knowledge is power, and knowing how to perform the Heimlich maneuver on yourself could save your life. Picture this, you're home alone, enjoying a delicious meal when suddenly, a piece of food lodges itself in your throat. You try to cough it up, but it's stuck fast. Time seems to slow down as you realize you're in serious trouble. First things first, try to stay calm. I know it's easier said than done, but panic will only make things worse. Remember, you need to think clearly and act quickly. Now here's where the Heimlich maneuver comes in. Make a fist with one hand and place it just above your navel, thumb side in. Grasp your fist with your other hand and give yourself quick upward thrusts into your abdomen. Think of it like you're trying to force that lodged object back up your throat. If you're having trouble generating enough force with your hands, don't give up. Look for a sturdy piece of furniture, like a chair or a countertop. Position yourself so that the edge of the furniture is just below your ribcage, and then thrust yourself downward onto the edge. The key here is to create enough pressure to dislodge the object blocking your airway. And don't be afraid to be forceful. Remember, your life depends on it. Chapter 4. Stop the bleeding, blood. It's the lifeblood of our bodies, but when it's flowing uncontrollably, it can also be a sign of serious danger. From minor cuts and scrapes to severe bleeding, knowing how to control bleeding is an essential survival skill that can make all the difference in an emergency. Now, I've had my fair share of cuts, scrapes, and gashes over the years. The wilderness is an unforgiving place and accidents happen, but even in the most remote corners of the world, I always make sure I have a well-stocked first aid kit on hand. Because when it comes to bleeding, time is of the essence. Let's start with the basics. Say you're chopping vegetables in the kitchen and accidentally nick your finger. It's a common occurrence, but even a small cut can bleed quite a bit. The first thing you want to do is clean the wound thoroughly with soap and water. This will help prevent infection. Once the wound is clean, apply direct pressure to the cut using a clean cloth or bandage. Hold the pressure for at least 5 minutes to allow the blood to clot. If the bleeding is heavy or doesn't stop after 5 minutes, don't hesitate to seek medical attention. Now let's say you're dealing with a more serious bleeding injury, like a deep cut or a puncture wound. In this case, it's crucial to control the bleeding as quickly as possible. Apply direct pressure to the wound using a clean cloth or bandage, and elevate the injured limb above the heart. If the bleeding is severe and doesn't respond to direct pressure, you may need to apply a tourniquet. A tourniquet is a tight band that's applied to a limb to stop blood flow. It's a last resort measure, but it can be life-saving in a critical situation. Remember, Eskimosers, when it comes to bleeding, it's always better to err on the side of caution. If you're ever in doubt about the severity of a bleeding injury, don't hesitate to seek medical attention immediately. Chapter 5. The burn of a mistake. Fire. It's a powerful force of nature, both mesmerizing and dangerous. We use it for warmth, cooking, and light, but one wrong move can turn it into a destructive force. Burns are common injuries, especially in survival situations. Knowing how to treat them quickly can make all the difference. Burns are classified into 3 degrees. First-degree burns affect only the outer layer of skin, causing redness and pain. Second-degree burns affect both outer and underlying layers, causing intense pain and blistering. Third-degree burns are the most severe, affecting all layers of skin and potentially underlying tissues. They may appear white or charred and require immediate medical attention. If you've accidentally touched a hot stove or spilled boiling water, cool the burn with cool water for at least 10 to 20 minutes. This helps stop the burning process and reduces pain and swelling. Apply a sterile bandage to protect it from infection. Never apply ice, butter, or oil to a burn, as these can worsen the injury. Outro. Stay safe. And that's our wrap on 10 easy ways to handle an emergency situation. Do you have personal stories or advice to share about handling emergencies? Drop your comments below. Remember, Eskimosers, life is unpredictable, and we never know when we might find ourselves facing an emergency. But by being prepared, staying calm, and knowing how to react in a crisis, we can greatly increase our chances of survival and protect ourselves and our loved ones. Thank you for watching, and stay safe, Eskimosers.